It's another beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. About 2 weeks ago, we started this series talking about paranoia, understanding what it is. Professor has been giving us some insights and giving us some stories to illustrate how this condition manifests itself. But we haven't quite finished because we are yet even to get into solutions that are available. So we pick up this conversation from where we left off last week. Karibu.
Paranoia is one of the conditions, psychiatric condition, that responds very well to treatment.
Okay.
Fortunately.
Wow. Is this condition found in both adults and children, or just adults?
Paranoia can occur very early in life, beginning with the children.
Yes.
Because children do get psychiatric conditions. In fact, we are conducting the national study here on detection of early psychosis, so that you can initiate treatment very early. We have instruments that we can use screening even before the children start showing the signs, symptoms, because the idea is to pick it very, very early.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can occur in children, and this may just present with unusual behavior in schools, not wanting to interact with other children, staying away from other children, and you just can't understand what is happening. People just say, so and so, this child behaves queer is a queer child. This could be very early signs of a child who feels very unsafe from his or her friends either in the class or in school. Very common indeed. But generally in the population, it tends to occur fairly early in life, between 15, 19, 20 years. That's the time when it occurs most. But the paranoid delusions, which is the one I was calling paranoid, there is no question, there is no understandable cause for this, may occur in the early 30s, early 40s. But then as people get elderly, and there are changes in their brains, and then they can get the late onset of paranoia. And again, for some reason, it tends to respond very well to treatment. The paranoia bit of it.
Yes.
And then they are left with the primary condition, which is the cause of this paranoia, and then you can deal with it separately. And there is nothing more satisfying to the families. I mean, sometimes it's just overwhelming. This child they loved so much was not eating with us, kept on calling us all kinds of names, say we are talking about him. They just couldn't understand what's going on. And you give them treatment, and you explain to them what is understanding, what is happening. Because more often than not, they don't understand. It's awareness. And you treat them, and the child becomes friendly. I have seen
night and day.
I have seen mothers break down.
Oh my goodness.
Say, thank you, doctor, for giving me back
my child.
My child. There's nothing more satisfying than that. Yes.
I'm wondering, Professor, with what we are going through currently in the world, this pandemic, there's been a lot of what do you call them? A lot of theories and a lot of suspicions. You know, right now we're in the midst of people being administered with the vaccine. You have this group of people who are saying, no, they're out to kill us. That vaccine is out to kill Africans. Others are saying so many things, so many theories on online and social media. And I'm just wondering, how would you classify that? I have friends who have said, me, I'm not touching that thing. I am not going to get near it. They want to kill us Africans. They want to get rid of us so that they can come to our continent and take all the minerals. Yes. And I'm thinking, like, really?
Well, again, James, as we are saying, this is understandable. These people are not, they don't have clinical paranoia the way I've explained it.
Yes.
You know, remember I started by saying, when people don't quite understand the environment and what is going on, when they remember the past, how some people in the past used things to kill other people, these things live in the minds of people. So and so who is associated with this vaccine has said this about Africans.
Yes.
Have talked about negatively about population explosion in Africa and the need to reduce, to curtail the growth of population. When they hear of those things, when there is no complete information as to what is happening, like for example, was I listening to something as I was coming to the office? About, or was it yesterday, people saying, well, we don't want this vaccine because some of us have developed some adverse effects, and nobody told us about that. And then maybe one person, but with social media, this information spread very fast.
Yeah.
When that happens, I would not call it paranoia in the real sense. It's just when people do not quite understand what is happening around them, and it's just a question, in my view, of giving them proper information where that information is available.
So that they stop speculating.
So that they start speculating.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Speculation can occur when there is not adequate information.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's normal.
Ah, that's normal.
That's normal.
It's would I be right in saying that's kind of like a protective mechanism?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I started by saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for that person who's watching us today or listening to us and they can identify with some of the things we've discussed today, which direction would you point them?
I think if there's you mean a relative or a person?
Yes, a relative.
Let's talk about the relative.
Yes.
The relative has got very important role to play. Maybe the mother or the children, siblings or parents or even grandparents. If that happens, if you see this happening, don't be confrontational. Because we also tend to be confrontational.
Yes.
Because we do not understand.
Yeah.
But now, if you are listening to this, instead of being confrontational, understand that this is a problem that needs attention. And don't tell the patient or the relative that they are pretending, because they are not pretending. Engage them in dialogue, in discussion, and maybe try to get help for them. Sometimes you just make them understand the environment in which they are. But if it is a clinical one which needs attention, they tend to respond very well to treatment. And just take them to see a counselor or somebody who might prescribe something. And by that, we can prevent a lot of these conditions from getting severe. Like this study that we are doing here with the university in USA.
Yeah.
We now know that some of these symptoms start very, very early. And they are not recognized, and you can screen for them. And if you answer screen, you find that they have certain kind of score. The standard practice in UK all over the world, and we are trying to see whether that can also be a practice here. You start them on some medicine.
Okay.
And if you start them on medicine very early in life, to reverse the chemical changes that are taking place in the brain, you can actually prevent these early symptoms from converting to a mental illness in about 30%. And if you can prevent this condition from becoming a clinical case in about 30%, completely free of those symptoms, that's a very big achievement.
Very true.
And even if you don't get them to have a remission, 100% remission, even when the symptoms do develop, they are very mild, much milder than would have been the case if they had not received the treatment. They will be able to continue with their own lives and go to school and perform well in school. Then you will have achieved something for these people.
Okay.
So early intervention for anybody who has this condition, regardless of the age, and this will come as a result of you being very observant, is very, very helpful. Don't expect that person, out of their own volition, to go looking for help because for them these things are so real. They are
Yes.
not sick.
Yes.
In fact, if you tell them they are sick, you have a very big problem with them. Because if you tell them this is abnormal, by definition, you are telling them they are mad.
Yeah.
And they will tell you, please, don't even.
They will not take it kindly.
No. They are
Yeah.
not going to take it kindly. I am not mad, and problem, you are the one who is mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because their reality is so real to them.
It's so real. I mean, it's so real. I mean, they are not pretending. And when people say they are hearing voices, they are not pretending.
Yes.
They hear them.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's finish by I know we keep talking about this, and I think it's important. The whole issue of stigma and even roping in the whole religious view of such issues, because I think, you know, some of the conversations we've been having have been so enlightening, and we need to get to a place where we work together. You know, the clergy, the doctors, the family members, to see that our friends, our families get the help they need. Because going back to the story you shared earlier about this elderly woman, you know, and at night she was being sexually assaulted. You know, when something like that is probably brought to my desk, my first inclination would be, you're demon possessed. There's something wrong. We need to exorcise you or something like that. But interestingly, this lady went under medication and this whole thing was reversed.
Yes.
You know, so what can you tell us in terms of, for the clergy who's listening in, and for those of us who've got a lot of these traditional beliefs, what can you tell us? Because unless we come together,
I think the most important thing is that is awareness. And this awareness should be to all of us. Stigma comes because you do not understand what is going on.
yes,
And what you don't understand, you stigmatize. And the only way to get rid or to minimize stigma is to make people understand and increase awareness that what you are dealing with is a medical condition, which we call psychiatric or mental, but nevertheless, it is a medical condition.
yes,
And it is a medical condition because there are chemical changes in the brain. These chemical changes can be demonstrated. Maybe the neuron connections in the brain are not quite normal, and this person develops this kind of condition. These are scientific facts that we know today, which we did not know some time back many years ago. But more recently, we know this. So if we understand that we are dealing with a condition of the brain, and we have that beginning, then we can start working together.
yes,
And we need to work together, particularly with the clergy. And I'll tell you the reason why. If there's a problem in the family, people rush to the
clergy
pastors.
first. Yes,
That's where they go.
yeah,
So I would not like to see a situation where somebody is hearing voices and the pastor says, those are voices from the demon. And we need to get rid of those demons. And I don't want to challenge you, by the way, because that is the only way, is your only model of explaining this condition, because you have been brought up in that kind of situation. If it's a Muslim, they also think alike. If it's a traditional healer, you have been bewitched, that kind of thing. But if we have a dialogue, all of us together, and we say, as much as we respect what you believe, what you think, or you believe, because that is the only explanatory model that you have, there is also this medical model. And our experience has been that if you take this kind of approach, then you break the barriers.
yes,
Because you break the barriers because there is common understanding, and people will understand, yes, there is a medical model that explains this, and if we cooperate and we give this person medicine, by all means go and pray. We know that prayers are very effective.
Yes.
I have never deny that. And
Yes.
this again is scientific.
Yes.
That believe that there's a higher force up there has got an effect on your mind.
Wow.
Goes through all the system and actually improves your immunity. Again, this is science. It's not just data. This is science. So why don't we just work together?
Yeah.
Never look down upon a pastor or start having a quarrel with a pastor. And the pastors don't quarrel with us. Let's work together. Don't go and call a traditional healer because you say they never went to school, very abusive language.
Yeah.
And who are they to tell us? Because at the end of the day, they have a role to play because they are consulted.
Yeah.
So why don't we just educate them and say, as these people come to see you, also remember that this could be the case, and they make referrals.
Very true.
They make referrals. Pastors make referrals. I think I'm seeing here many patients who are being referred by pastors.
That's good.
Yesterday, I stay here late because a bishop somewhere says, please wait for me. Yeah, there's COVID, there's curfew. Please wait for me. I'll try to be very brief. He lived to his word, and this patient was just having a mental illness.
Wow.
Yeah, referred by a bishop. Who
I
had
like that.
tried prayers,
Yeah.
But eventually decided maybe
We need to look at
addition,
look
and
at it
that
from another.
bishop was referred to me by another bishop.
Wow. I like that.
Yes.
Professor, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
I hope you've learned something about paranoia.
Paranoia.
And if you know somebody or family member who has the symptoms of what we've talked about, just like Professor has said, get them the help that they need, because help is available. That's all the time we have for Food for Thought with Professor Ndetei today. Have yourselves a great day.